وآل محمد.
Congratulations everyone on the birth and waladat of Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. It's a beautiful auspicious occasion, and I think the program we wanted to start with a few words of poetry, reminding us about the beautiful Ahl al-Bayt, as this is Thaqalayn Center, which is a service inshallah to the Ahl al-Bayt. So I have a short poem that I'll recite, and then I think if there's anyone else that has poetry that they'd like to recite, they can do so, and then we'll start with a short lecture, inshallah. So this poem is about the Ahl al-Bayt. It's honoring each, the Panjtan, as they say, the 5 members under the cloak, and the Ahl al-Kisa. And it requires a little help from all of you, where there's a part where you will say salawat, and I'll let you know, and you all, inshallah, say loud salawat at that time. You know, when the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, when he ascended to Mi'raj, it says that there was an angel that he saw, and he asked, who was this angel? And this angel had many hands, and it was counting. And the angel explained that his job was to count the raindrops. And he knew exactly how many raindrops fell and where. He could tell you how many raindrops fell in this city, how many in that city, in this country, in that, how many fell on barren land, how many fell in the sea, and so on and so forth. But he told the Prophet Muhammad, there's one single thing that I cannot count, and that is the blessings when someone recites salawat upon Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
There's a hadith that says about Bayt. The word Bayt means house, obviously, like the house of the Prophet, Ahl Bayt, the people of the household. But another meaning of the word Bayt is a verse of poetry. And it says, Man qala fina bayta shi'r. The person who recites a bayt of poetry, a verse of poetry about us, Imam Sadiq alayhi salam is saying, that Bana Allah Ta'ala lahu baytan fil Jannah, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will put a bayt, a house in paradise for that person, for every single verse of poetry that is recited about the Ahl al-Bayt. So Bismillah. Bismillah, in the name of Allah, in the name of Allah, in the name of the Most High. I send the dua, I know He will reply. He who needs nothing and still gives to I. He who the sun, moon, and stars were created by. He who lives when all else shall die. Who is it you thought, owner of the 7 earths and 7 samawat? There is no contest. It's difficult to put His attributes into context, like the incredible essence of the Tawheed concept. But what can I say? Astaghfirullah wa atubu ilayh. Salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
And it is He who created the one known as the most trustworthy human being, Ameen, the greatest one of them all, the chosen one, Al-Mustafa. Ignorant masses called His miracles magic. Ironically, check out the audacity of people destined for doom, having the nerve to say, يَقُولُونَ إِنَّهُ لَمَجْنُونَ. They say He is mad when He is the reason for their being and the purpose of the surface. They knew not what His worth is. Some with no clue of the gym they had, how could you call Him mad? Peace be upon the light of all prophets, peace be upon Ahmad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
And peace be upon the light of His eye, the greatest woman from sea to sky. Blessed was she, although sad was her demise. A lost grave buried secretly by Ali, for only few know where she lies. And her only joy before she said goodbye was knowing she'd be the first to lay eyes on her beloved father when they would meet at the fountain of Kawthar. The mother of her father, peace be upon Hazrat Fatima Zahra.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
And peace be unto you, bestowed with the possession of succession, the only true successor there, fit to be called Haydar, the Asad of Allah, God's lion. Other Sahabas don't come close, stop applying. The bravest of them all, Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali al-Murtada.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad Muhammad.
And peace be unto you, one of the two princes of heaven, known for his piety and kindness. His generosity was like a cure for blindness. Son of Waliullah, salawat upon Hassan al-Mujtaba.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
And finally, peace be unto thee, who removed injustice like a bad cavity, gave freedom to you and me, like the gift of legs to an amputee. The Prince of Shahada, dying thirsty in Nainawa. I love you like angels love Karbala. A diamond in the rough, a pearl, leader of the free world. Survived by his wife and son, while on his wounded chest lie his baby girl. Oh, Abu Abdullah, I have this notion that you set in motion the revolution that could move the mountains and the ocean. Ya Mahdi, I know you're Muntazir, you're waiting for me. But I told you I'm ready to be your soldier. And that's not just my claim today. And if you feel the same, let me hear you say,
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
My poem is nowhere near as long and as good as his. I had to kind of write mine on the fly, so just a little bit of something.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
He fed the dirt raw meat, sometimes head first, because they did not think. Their faith in God needs to be more complete with the question, who was Imam Ali? More manly than any army that surrounded him, they rarely harmed he. He in every sense of the word, under God. Strength with every tense of a verb, but for Allah. He lived since a kid and his birth in Kaaba. More energy than any enemy, no matter how sinister, jinn or human being. Because in the end, we only see a sinister retreat. That was the bravery of Imam Ali. And despite this, his kindness was like a child's gift, a mind's bliss from a vile temp before the fire's lit. Like, do not raise your child to be like you parents. For a different era, that child is meant. Salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
If there's no one else on there.
Is there anyone else who would like to do a poetry? Last call?
The mic is now closed.
Anyone with the last name of Khan, by any chance? No? No? So we start loud salawat for the Shaykh.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Two. One.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد والثناء لرب العالمين وأفضل الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين حبيب قلوبنا والشفيع ذنوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا على القاسم المصطفى محمد.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
وعلى أهل بيت الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. My topic today, brothers and sisters, is a topic about one of the important lessons we can learn from Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. He was the epitome of what it means to be a perfect human being after the example of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
And one of the things that we're taught is not just to look at the surface of things, to delve deeper into the deeper meanings. We have, for example, someone who asked why the Prophet was called Abul Qasim. And they came and he responded that one of the reasons why is because he had a son by the name of Qasim. And for that reason, he was known as Abul Qasim, the father of Qasim. The person who asked the question, he was more curious. He wasn't satisfied with just that answer. He said, is there more reason? Is there any other reason why he's also been called Abul Qasim? And the Imam who was responding to him, he saw that he had the capacity to handle more knowledge and a deeper meaning, so he gave him more explanation than the simple explanation that he gave at first. He said to him that Qasim means the one who divides. It's another word for Qasim. He said Qasim is one of the names of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, the divider. He said, well, the reason why the Rasulullah is known as Abul Qasim is because he was like a father to this Qasim, who literally it means Imam Ali alayhi salam. And that Ali is the Qasim, or the partitioner between those who go to heaven and hell on the day of judgment. And because the Prophet raised him from a young man and was like a father to him, then this is the reason why he is also known as Abul Qasim. So sometimes there's something on the surface that obviously we need to gather and understand, but then there's something so much deeper. And with probing and asking, analyzing, we're able to get much, much more deeper understanding of our faith and what it means. Imam Ali alayhi salam gives us excellent examples of that. And one of those things that I want to take is just one tradition and to probe deeper into the meaning of this tradition from Amir al-Mu'mineen. He says, "Man dhanna bika khayran." Dhan, meaning that the person who assumes or makes an assumption of you. Man dhanna bika khayran. That makes a good assumption of you. He thinks something of you. فَصَدِّقْ dhanna. Then assume and accept whatever he has assumed. This person, dhanna bika khayran, he said, you know what? I think that this person is, he's really honest. He's really trustworthy. He's a very good mu'min. He always prays his prayer. He prays on time. He has a good assumption or a good opinion of this individual. It says, فَصَدِّقْ dhanna. Because of this. Accept and confirm that dhan and that assumption. لا تذننا بكلمة خرجت من أحد سوءا. But what about the bad assumptions? He says, never confirm the bad assumption that comes out of the mouth of anyone. I think that maybe this brother something, maybe this sister something. He says, don't even entertain those conversations and those thoughts. Give the benefit of the doubt, as they say. وَأَنْتَ تَجِدْ لَهَا فِي الْخَيْرِ مُحْتَمِلًا. He said, don't assume that that bad thing which was suggested, that is true if there is even muhtamilan, even the slightest probability, then maybe that's not the case. Someone said, oh, this brother, he never prays. You say, you don't entertain this, and you say there's a probability that this is wrong. So what this does for a community or a family, or in regards to the relationships that we have, it allows for a lot less tension. Because now, when I meet my Muslim brother or sister, I don't meet him, I don't see him, whatever the case may be, my opinion of them is honorable. It's still, they're respectful in my eyes. Because the moment that a person loses that, and in your eyes they're no longer respected, they're no longer respectful, they're no longer have that honor, then you look down upon them. It creates sometimes animosity between people. Sometimes it creates arrogance for the person who's viewing. The other person, it says, you know what, this person is not as good as me. or I'm better than him, whatever the case may be. So it says, so the topic of today is about husnul dhan. It means thinking well or having a good opinion when it comes to others. So there's two parts of husnul dhan that I'll touch on today, based on this tradition from Amir al-Mu'mineen. One is the assumption and how we deal with God, our relationship with Allah. The other is about our relationship with other people, right? So these are two different things, because the relationship with others is very different from the relationship with Allah. The Prophet of Allah, he's very, in paraphrasing the tradition, he said, woe unto that person who backbites, because now he's worse than the fornicator. It says the person who did this sin, he has to ask Allah for forgiveness. He says the person who did backbiting, he has to ask Allah for forgiveness, but he first has to ask the person who he talked about, the victim of his backbiting, for forgiveness. So then he makes it, twice as difficult. Sometimes the things that have to do with other people, the haqqun nas, the rights of other people, they're very, very, they can be tragic if they're not observed.